Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. I have someone I want to introduce to you. This is Jameson. He was born in September, so he is roughly 3 months old right now. Jameson! You're not gonna look at me anymore? Jameson. So if you've been following my channel for a while now, you know that my mom started me young when it came to learning about how to handle money. I had my first savings account when I was about 5 years old. I bought my first stocks when I was about 8 years old. She wanted me to learn how to handle money from a young age. And that's what I want to do with my son. I think it's far more important to teach your kid how to handle money than it is to actually give them any money at all. I want to go on record saying that. I actually love the tenet that Warren Buffett said. I want to give my kids enough so they feel they could do anything, but not so much that they could do nothing. And if you're one of those people who want to give your children something, perhaps you'd be interested in opening an account for them. There are 5 that we have opened for our son. A checking or a savings account. Of course, this is a custodial account. As his parents, we are the custodians on this account until it fully transfers to him at the age of 18. Now, we did choose to go with a savings account because at this point, it's not like he has any bills to pay, so we didn't go with a checking account. He is a complete freeloader, but at this point, we're totally fine with it. Now, primarily, I view this as just a landing account. We have family members who give gifts of money on birthdays or on holidays, and that way we can put it in this account and set it aside and earmark it for him. Predominantly, we might also move the money out of this account and into some of the other accounts we're also prioritizing, but having this account there will come in handy when he gets a little bit older and he's at the stage where he can learn about saving money, and that way he can make his own deposits into this account. My hope is that once he's old enough and he's actually earning an allowance, we can physically bring him to the bank and he can physically make a deposit. That way he learns the importance of saving and he actually feels that it's real. I have a lot of really fond memories of going to the bank as a child, and this is where my love of suckers came into play. To this day, seriously, I still love those little dum-dums, and I always grab the mystery flavor. So my game is I always try to guess which flavors it is. A plain and simple brokerage account. This is actually the account I was most excited to get started for my son. This is actually how I got started investing, and to this day, it is my absolute hands down favorite account type, as I discuss in this video. Again, this is a custodial account. The types available are an UTMA or an UGMA, and these custodial accounts really deserve their own dedicated video. As many of you know, I am an indexer. I believe that investing in index funds is the best way to be invested for the vast majority of people. They have extremely low fees and low turnover, which makes them fairly tax efficient on a year-to-year basis, meaning they don't create a heavy tax burden, contrary to, say, actively managed funds, which have very high turnover, which causes a heavy tax burden. Now, the reason I'm so excited about the brokerage account is that it can actually be used regardless of age, meaning he can access it regardless of what his age is. And we all know that compound interest works best when given a really long time horizon. And you don't get much longer of a time horizon than if you start when you're still in the crib. Our goal is to contribute small amounts each month and then really let compound interest do the work. Even if we contribute something like $150 a month, 20 years down the road, that will be a substantial sum. Maybe he uses it as a down payment on a house, or maybe he uses a mixture of it. Maybe part of it goes to practical things and part of it goes to fun things, or maybe he simply leaves it invested. It will be his choice at that time. It will also be important for us to teach him how to properly manage this money so he makes good choices with it once it is handed over to him. I love the idea of being able to help him when he's going to need it most, in his 20s or his 30s or his 40s. When you're just starting out and you have a family and you have that starter salary, naturally your budget is going to run tight. Trying to afford your first home or your first car on a starting salary is no easy feat, and this is not something that I anticipate to get easier a couple decades down the road. So if there's small steps that we can do today to alleviate some of that burden for him down the road, I'm more than happy to do it. The 529 is probably the account that everyone expected to be on this list, and probably expected it to be the very first account that I talked about on this list. And don't get me wrong, I love the 529. I think they're absolutely amazing. But the reason they don't top our list personally is because my husband is active duty military, and he has the GI Bill, and he's passing that on to our son. So that should pay for about 4 years of school. Now, we are still doing a 529. It just won't be heavily prioritized. A 529 is a great way to save for your children's education. If your primary goal is to save for your children's education, plain and simple, the 529 is a better choice than an UTMA or an UGMA account. So if saving for higher education is the goal, this is the account that I would prioritize. They are incredibly tax efficient. Some states actually allow you to claim a tax deduction for your 529 contributions. The money gets invested and gets to grow completely tax deferred, and assuming that you pull that money out for qualifying education-related expenses, it gets to come out tax-free. They have a minimal impact on financial aid. They can be used for higher education as well as K through 12 programs or apprenticeships or trade programs as well. They have generous contribution limits. Even the accounts are transferable. So in a lot of ways, a 529 is actually better than an UTMA or an UGMA account depending on what your goals are. Being that I don't know what my son would like to be when he grows up, he may end up using his 529 or he may not. And if he doesn't, we can just transfer it to someone else, like maybe his kiddo. Admittedly, we have not set up his Roth IRA yet. To be able to contribute to a Roth IRA, you need to have earned income. And I love the Roth account for its tax-free growth. And you already know how I feel about compound interest and giving it the absolute longest time frame possible to let compound interest to work its magic. I do have my own business in the dental industry, and I have every intention of hiring my son. And I'm fully aware that as a baby, there's not much he can do, but he could serve as a baby model in my marketing materials, and that likely is a route I would go because I want to open up the Roth account as early as possible for him so I can give him that little bit of a head start. As he gets older, I will have him work limited hours and teach him what it's like to work for a paycheck. My dad was a business owner, and once I was middle school age, I would walk to his office after school. I'd work for an hour or so doing simple tasks like developing x-rays or filing charts away, and I distinctively remember that every 2 weeks my paycheck was $89, which I thought was amazing. But after a year or so, I turned to him and I asked for a raise, and he said no, that I had to put together a presentation on why I actually deserved it. I put together that presentation, he still said no. When my son gets to the point where he is capable of working a little bit, I have every intention of giving him a handful of hours of work, and that way he can earn that paycheck. At that point, I will happily contribute more to his Roth IRA. Going into 2024, the contribution limits for the Roth IRA are $7,000, and being that his wages will be very low, it would not produce any sort of federal tax burden. The goal here really is just to get him started. Like I said, if I can make his path a little bit easier, I absolutely want to do that. And I am going to do a full video on the Roth IRA as it pertains to our son and how we plan on utilizing it. Credit card. This one is intentionally last on my list because compared to the others, I think this one's the least important, and it does come with some risk. And quite frankly, it was my husband's decision to get him started on this one right away, not mine. If you make your kid an authorized user on your credit card, you have the ability to help them build up their credit history from a very young age. And here's why that can be an amazing thing. Once they're added to the account, or once they turn 18, depending on the card issuer, the account's entire history will be added to their credit report. And credit history is one of the biggest components of a credit score, meaning that your kiddo can start out life with an amazing credit score in the high 700s or the low 800s, assuming you're responsible with your credit cards and that you pay them off in full and on time. And that is why I say this one has some risk to it. I absolutely do not think this is something that most people should be doing. Because if you don't pay off that balance in full or you are late with a payment, you will hurt your baby's credit score and their credit history. And you should 100% not do this if there's even a chance that you could miss a payment. And let's face it, the vast majority of Americans kind of suck at handling credit cards. So please, 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 please only do this one if you're one of those people that the credit card companies hate. AKA, you pay that balance off in full and you never pay a dime of interest. Otherwise, just say no, don't do this. Now, how old your kiddo has to be added as an authorized user on your credit card depends on the issuing company. Some companies have no age limit, others have an age limit of 13 or 15 years old. If you put them on as a teen and actually give them a credit card to use, you can use it as a tool for proper money management. Just keep in mind, you are responsible for any of the charges that they put on there. Speaking of credit, I always think it's a really good idea to put a freeze on kids or even yourself because it prevents new accounts from being opened in their name or your name. You can always lift the freeze whenever you need to apply for new credit, but there's no reason that a kid should be applying for new credit, so just leave the freeze on them. If you add your kid as an authorized user on your credit card, you don't actually have to give them a copy of the credit card. You can shred it the moment it arrives, or you can lock it away safely. The whole goal of this one is to help your kid build a great credit history and help them build a great credit score. So when it comes time that they want to buy their first car or buy their first home, that they qualify for the best interest rates. And this saves them a lot of money and interest. So if you do this one, please be careful. And for most people, please don't do this one. Seriously. What's most important is that we teach our children good financial habits, not the specific amount in any of these accounts. If you start off with the right foundation, good habits, that will go a long way into helping you on your financial journey. That can set you up for success no matter what your starting point is. But if you have the means to do so and you would like to open an account for your children or your grandchildren, perhaps these are some accounts that you would like to look into. Are there any other accounts that you've started for your kids? Leave your answer in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.